All right, so first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to talk about GitHub Pages. So we'll talk about GitHub Pages, and then after that, we'll go into the nitty-gritty of HTTP, trying to make a server, and then trying to troubleshoot the server, and we can look at network traffic and stuff like that. So first, GitHub Pages. This should be fairly short. Let me share my screen. All right, so the basic idea, can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
All right, cool.
Yes.
All right, so so GitHub Pages, it's nice that there are a lot of different services you can use to host a site. We'll end up using Heroku, I think, is our default, and Heroku is nice because you can do backend and front end stuff. There are other services like Netlify, and there's a whole bunch of other ones. But GitHub Pages is also an option, and it's very easy to use, especially if you just have a front, like a static site, or just you can use React as well. You just can't have a backend. But in order to do that, the first thing we'll do is we'll kind of have to go over creating a GitHub repository. So that's a necessary first step here. So we've been typically when we work with GitHub, we have a challenge, right? So a challenge will be in the code platoons repo, and you have to clone it over, or sorry, you have to fork it over to your own repo and then clone that and do all this stuff. But we haven't really just created our a repo just by ourselves in our own account. So we will take a look at how that works. So first thing we'll do, so there's some restrictions on the GitHub Pages. The most important thing is that we need an index.html as our entry point. So this is the default config. It's possible to reconfigure some of this stuff, but we're just going to go with the default. So we'll create an index.html. So this is going to be the file. We could also create a JavaScript file and a styles folder or styles file, and maybe a folder for static images or whatever other resources we need. So we could do all that, but we're going to keep this very, very simple. It's just going to be an index.html file. So this is going to be our website that we want to host on GitHub Pages. So in the body, we're just going to do the absolute minimum here. We're just going to have an h1 tag, and that is it. So website complete. We now have a website. So now we want to actually host this on GitHub. First thing we have to do is create a GitHub repository. So in order to do that locally on our machine, we'll have to run git init. We've initialized an empty Git repository. We can do, is there a question? Okay, we'll do git status just to see what's going on. So we're on the master branch. There's no commits. So we can do git add. Okay, and then let's do our first commit. So git commit, something like that. Okay, so at this point, so at this point, we have a local Git repository, and we've made our first commit. The problem is that this is, restricted to our local machine. So we want to actually put this on GitHub. So we want to connect a remote. We want to point our repo to a remote location. So you can go to, if you just go to your GitHub account, if you go in the top right corner, there's a little plus sign, and you can create a new repository there. So we'll create a new repository, and it's going to redirect you here, and you can give your repository a name. It just has to be unique within your repo. So we'll do my site. And this is actually going to be part of this is going to be the URI, so part of the URL. So your site will be something like, you know, mine will be chadmowbray.github.io/my-site. So, you know, choose an appropriate name. And then we're going to go, we'll make this a public repo and create repository. Okay, so then GitHub's basically going to give you some things to copy and paste into your terminal to get this loaded. So if you don't have a repo yet, if you didn't have a local repo, you could follow these steps, but we already have a local repo, right? And we've initialized it, we've added our files, and we've made a commit. So we can skip some of this and we can just follow this part right here. So the main thing we're going to do is we're going to add this remote origin. So we'll copy that line, we'll paste it into our terminal. Okay, so that was easy. And then here you can optionally change. So the default name is master, but you know that's politically incorrect. So you can change it to main if you like. If you're a good person, change it to main. And here we'll do. So we've added a remote. So now our local repo can point to this remote repo on GitHub. So we'll do Git Push. So Git Push origin master, or whatever your kind of primary branch happens to be. And it looks like this worked. So now if we come back here, we can refresh this page or just click the link here, and it should reflect whatever the state of our local repo is. So we can take a look at the index.html file and see, okay, welcome to my site. So it looks like this is actually working. We could also, we could make another commit. So let's say we want to change something. So we'll save this and then we'll go through the normal process. So we can check the status. Okay, so we have modified index.html. So git add, we'll just add everything. Git status. Okay, so we need to commit this now. So git so git, and now so now we have another commit here, and we can also just push this up to our repo. So now our local repo is up to date, but our remote repo doesn't know about this change yet. So we have to tell it. We have to say, hey, get yourself in sync with what I have locally. We do that with a push. So git push origin master. And if we come back here and refresh this, you can see it's updated. So my commit message is shown here. I can see that I have 2 commits, and the commit was made 30 seconds ago. I can go into the file and see that I have this update reflected there. Okay, so that's kind of the basics of using GitHub the ordinary way. So the way we've been doing it, kind of default with the challenges, is not necessarily the most common use case for GitHub. But so now you know the most common case for GitHub. So I have a local repo. I want to basically keep a copy in the cloud somewhere. So I use GitHub to do that. All right. So we have GitHub knows about my awesome website, but it's not hosting it. So someone, I could give someone a link to this. I could, I can send this link to my mom and say, hey, come check out my site. And she can come to GitHub and click on index.html and see the HTML, but that's not really going to wow her because she doesn't know HTML or JavaScript. So what we want to do is actually host this so that it will be visible. So the ordinary process, like if you were to do this yourself, you could have a server, you buy a machine, you run server, you can use anything really, but you probably run some server specific operating system, and then you'd have to register a domain name and check all these boxes. It's a little bit complicated, or we can very easily use GitHub Pages. So GitHub Pages, the way it works is you have to create another branch. So we have a master branch or a main branch or whatever by default. We'll have to create another branch, and that branch name will be gh-pages, so GitHub Pages. And if we have a branch called gh.pages, GitHub is automatically going to know, hey, this guy wants to host this content, as a site, and GitHub will take care of the rest. So it's very, very simple. So in order to create a branch, we'll have to, again, do it locally first. So git checkout -b. So this will create a new branch and check me out to that branch. And we'll do gh, this is the set name, gh.pages. Okay, so I'm now on gh.pages. So again, my local repo knows about this new branch that I've created, but my remote repo on GitHub does not know. So I need to tell my remote repo about my new branch. So git push origin. And this time I want to push up my new branch. So gh-pages. Okay, it looks like that worked. So I come here and refresh, and I can see that I now have 2 branches, right? Before I had 1, now I have a master branch and a GitHub Pages branch. You can take a look at them here. Okay, so I have GitHub Pages. I go back to the code, and I can you? I guess I should have pointed this out earlier as contrast, but now there's this thing here, whereas there wasn't before. So I have a new environment, GitHub Pages, and I can. This might take 10 seconds. It might take a few minutes, depending. So I click here, GitHub Pages, and I can see view deployment. So this, I can also, update this continually. So this is the most recent version, view deployment, and welcome to my site. Notice the URL, chadmowbray.github.io/my-site. So this is actually being hosted on the internet. And if we wanted to, let's say we wanted to change this. So we could actually change this here. So I'll change this here, and then we'll go through the whole process. So git add, git commit. And we'll push it up to our GitHub Pages branch. And again, if I refresh this, let's see, if I go to my site, if I check out the GitHub Pages branch, I have this new commit there. So it might take a few minutes, but this should update. So again, so this has my updated, so it's redeployed automatically. I just push the update to the gh-pages branch and view the deployment. It might take a couple minutes to kick in.
Question, Chad.
Yeah.
When you on Git, you were already on the GitHub Pages branch. Could you have been on master? And since you pushed it to origin,
Yeah.
GH,
So the reality. So you could think of this GitHub Pages branch as like your production branch of this where, you know. So yeah. So you can do work on any branch, and then you probably want to keep the master branch or the main branch as your source of truth. This is the current state of the application, and when you wanted to like push to production, you would update gh-pages.
So question,
Yeah.
I guess it would make more sense when you're making your initial index GitHub page to make it kind of a an index itself, a bunch of links to all your other demonstration demo project pages that you can just provide links to, and then nest those pages within your GitHub Pages repository.
Sure. I mean, you could do that. Yeah. I mean, it's just a regular HTML page, so you can add links to whatever. If you have other, add a link to your LinkedIn profile. You can add links to other GitHub Pages sites that you have. So if you have other projects on GitHub, you can have, you can have one page that's like your main kind of, I can't think of the word, portfolio page, and then you can link to other stuff as well.
but you can only have one, correct? With GitHub Pages.
You can have so there are different kinds. So when it's named like this, I don't know why it's taking so long, but if it's named like this, then you can have as many of these as you want. You can have my site, you can have my site 2, my site 100. But there's another version where I think you can have a custom, you can do something custom here. You can only have one of those, I think.
Hey, Chad, I just wanted to say also, because I have my portfolio site hosted on GitHub Pages, when you do have the website like that with your name at github.io, any other repository that you make a GitHub Pages web page will automatically link up with your portfolio site. So it'll be whatever your portfolio site domain is / the repository name. If you make any other repository a GitHub Pages, they'll automatically be able to, it's automatically linked to the portfolio website.
Okay, that's cool.
So you're saying it's nested underneath that? Cool.
Yeah, pretty much.
Very cool.
So that's basically the long, again, I'm not sure why this is not updating, but
I pulled up your site and it's updated.
okay. It could just be my cache or something. But yeah, so that's it. It's pretty simple. It's not much more complicated than just using GitHub normally. So good job, GitHub. I'll stop sharing and we can take 5 minutes.